Let's do a question from Randy. How are we doing on time, by the way, guys? So, all right, Randy, go ahead.
Quick one. What should or could we do, from each of your perspectives, to create a healthier, more vibrant economy in Arkansas that would create more and better career opportunities for our children and our grandchildren? What do you think we need to do? How do we make that happen?
Or in other words, would you please solve the world's problems while you're up here on this stage? So you go. I'll let you go first on that.
Wow. Claiborne, you've done a lot here in El Dorado. Well, actually, all across the state. You know, Randy, about 25% of our customers live at or below the federal poverty guideline in the state of Arkansas. And that's pretty consistent in Louisiana and Mississippi too. And, you know, making sure kids at least stay through high school, graduate from high school, and I know this is all pretty basic stuff for everybody in the room, but we've got to get to the kids earlier when they're about in 8th grade to give kids an opportunity that they see that there's not everybody is going to go to college, and that's fine. We need people to fill professional trades and crafts all over the country, and getting kids exposed to that path early on when they have no idea that it exists, I think is really, really, really important. You know, the whole education reform effort obviously is very important, that we continue to move down that path in terms of, you know, closing the achievement gap, giving every kid the best chance that they can get. You know, I'm a pre-K advocate. It's really important. And, you know, I know the state is focused a lot more on workforce development. But integrating that workforce development efforts and needs from the marketplace, what businesses need for their future workers, integrate that into our 2-year, 4-year in public education process, so it's much more integrated. Because right now it's disintegrated. There's not enough signals from the market in terms of the types of skills that businesses need.
And I'll just add to that, and Randy, you're to be congratulated, but this year's State Chamber annual meeting, our keynote speaker was a gentleman by the name of Eric Kramer. Eric's written many books associated with workforce development, but really it's skill development. And one of the books he wrote was Bring Your A Game to Work. And it's teaching individuals that are coming up through high school today what it takes, what they have to show up with, and really trains them to be the employee that the employer can't do without. So it's bring your A game to work, and it's, you know, 6 or 7 skills that everyone must have to be successful, and show up with that every day, and guess what? You'll probably be successful. The other component of that is work ethic development, and Randy is working with people in the Department of Education to try to integrate those programs into our school curriculum. And then I would say Economics Arkansas. It's crying shame how many people don't understand basic economics, and that's because it's not taught in many schools, or the person teaching it is not qualified. And quite frankly, it's almost criminal that we're graduating students that don't have a basic understanding of fundamental economics. And when you talk to teachers, they'll tell you, you don't understand what we're dealing with. We're dealing with children in today's environment that may or may not have a traditional home, may or may not know where they're going to be this week, and keeping them organized and focused on studying is a tremendous challenge. So getting back to grade school and high school, curriculum, emphasizing that, and then building workforce skills, training on how to be successful is how we can improve our workforce. And the states that are going to be successful in the future are the states that are going to have trained, competent, capable, qualified workers. That's who's going to win the battle for the future companies and expansions that's going to take place is where's the human resource. So
I can't add much. If you look at the states which are growing, Texas for sure, Florida, typically a lower tax rate, or the marginal tax rate is important. If you have a choice of where you want to live, today people do, then if you have a choice between living in Texas with 0 state income tax or Arkansas with a 7% marginal rate, that influences people. And it influences people who may have great education and great skill set, great earning power, great ability to hire, grow businesses. And so I think that over time is an influence. It wasn't 25, 30, 40, 50 years ago, but there's so much in-migration within America now. The Northeast and the upper Midwest loses population, and they migrate to a lower tax Sunbelt state. And the state of Arkansas could probably be more responsive to that. I think that would be on the margin. I think that'd be helpful. And the types of businesses which are growing in the future are less the type of businesses that the three of us have and ran, and more of a knowledge-based business in the future. And there's great opportunity there, and you have to have a certain worker to do it. And so it's a dead horse, but people who are more highly educated are going to get those jobs, and the pay is really good, and the wealth creation opportunities are really high. And so it's something that we in the state don't participate in as much as we should. And so creating an environment for those types of people and creating great universities, technical universities in particular, I suspect would certainly foster that. And this whole idea of entrepreneurship, creating that Sam Walton, Charles Murphy type of person, that I don't know if they just happen, or whether once you get a culture that has it, you spawn more of it. And so the great Silicon Valley, California Research Triangle, North Carolina, we don't have one of those. And man, oh man, what if we did? Because one success story breeds 2, breeds 5, 15. So having one of those somehow built around great universities, would just be a really powerful engine.
All right, Wade, I see you over here, but I got to go to this side of the room again. Yes. Oh, our first taker. Yes, sir. Or ma'am. I can't see who it is back there. Is that Eamon? Yes. Oh.
Not everybody in the 70s needs special treatment, Claiborne. I need to point that out. People you were rescuing on account of them in the 70s. But I want to agree with the remarks you made about the marginal tax rate. Everybody's talking about that. But equally important to me is the judicial system in the state. The state chamber has courageously, in my opinion, stepped out and indicated that they're going to take an increasing interest in the judicial system and its impact on people that do business in that state. I think that's entirely appropriate. It takes courage, and it takes staying power. And my question to the three of you is, do you support what the state chamber is doing in that regard? And would you support an expansion of that? And I'm not just talking about the business community. I'm talking about the society and the state as a whole, which has an interest in an ethically administered judicial system in which there's basic fairness for all. If you don't have the edge, everybody can compete fairly. When certain groups have an advantage over other groups, the system doesn't work, in my opinion. Get your opinion.
I'll take a shot at it, Eamon, and thank you for bringing it up. And Kenny Hall, who's not here tonight, is really spearheading that effort at the state chamber. And the races that probably don't get the attention they deserve are the judicial races. and the state chamber's taking a leadership role to change that. So the answer is yes, I fully support it. It's sometimes uncomfortable, but it's a battle worth fighting, and the state chamber's the right organization to fight that battle. And it's really vetting candidates. It's not picking winners and losers. It's just trying to get in the light of day where that judge or potential judge, where he comes from, and or she comes from, and their opinions. So the answer is that I'm proud of the state chamber and what they're doing, and expanding it, quite frankly, as possible when there's the need.
Thanks for the question, Eamon. You know, I serve on the board of the state chamber, so obviously I support the direction that the state chamber is going, and appreciate, Randy, your leadership and making that happen. And you know, whether or not it's expanded, I think it just depends on, you know, the particular race, the potential candidates. So, but certainly agree with where the chamber has been going the last couple of years.
Claiborne, you have a law degree. You could run for judge, you know.
Ooh, it'd be a bad one, I think. Eamon, you've hit it, and it's the negative impact of that in some ways more than the positive. If you have a system that caters to, corruption's not the right word, but a lot of selective venue picking because you get favorable outcomes, you gotta get rid of it, and we're on the path to trying to do that. And very important to do it. So yes, I'm certainly supportive, and I know Hugh and Ray are too.
All right. Yes, ma'am.
This is kind of a follow-up to Randy's question in a way, but we're in Arkansas's original boom town. And I know every time I come down here, you know, because of the companies that you represent, the variety of industries in the area, you feel that energy. But I'd be interested in knowing what you see as the strengths of the area and what you feel like is necessary to restore that boomtown image to El Dorado.
It's a hard one, and the reason is that south of Little Rock loses population and has for the last 25 to 30 to 40, maybe even 50 years. So we're facing kind of the pushing water uphill if you live here, just from geographically and demographically who and where we are. So how do you address it? You got to have great companies, and we have great companies here. We're very, very lucky. In fact, it's extraordinarily unusual to have 3 publicly traded companies with a home office in a town of 19,000 people. And those companies are, knock on wood, well-run, invest for the future, and create a lot of jobs for local people. It's very, so we have a unique advantage there. The other thing that we're trying to do is create an environment in town where millennials want to not only work here, but stay and live here on the weekends. Because typically what happens if you're 20-something or 30-something is you'll leave on the weekends. You'll go to Hot Springs or Little Rock or Monroe or some other place because there's just not enough to do. It wasn't the case when I first moved here in 1979. We probably didn't know any better, but we stayed here and we just kind of made it happen here. But it's a more mobile place today, the world, with higher expectations. And so you have to address that. And so we're in the process, knock on wood, of creating a venue in the south of town, southern part of our downtown core, which is going to have 3 musical venues and bring in both acts, theater acts, live musical acts, almost every day of the week in one of these 3 venues once it's up and running. And we have a guy, Terry Stewart, that we've hired who just retired from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, who's going to run it for us, has been running it for us. It's very ambitious. It's dauntingly ambitious. But we thought we had to kind of think big or go home. And so we decided to do it, and we've raised a little over $50 million on the way to 80. And we're going to create an entertainment district here. So if you live here, you can stay here and be entertained. And we have a lot of young people who work for our companies here, these companies, and we just need to keep them. But I'd be, and the El Dorado Promise helps. I mean, we had to go big or go home there. And so we literally pay, if you go to El Dorado High School, for everyone to go to college. And so that keeps, retains, and brings people here. And if we don't do those types of things, our town would have really a tough time. And you just have to dig in and get after it. And because it isn't going to happen naturally. The natural urge and push is to move into the north and the western part of the state of Arkansas. It just is. Bigger companies, University of Arkansas, it just happened. It happened in my lifetime. And the only way to combat that is just to get after it and hit it hard. So that's what we're doing.
You want to add to that? South Arkansas's challenges?
Well, from Entergy's perspective in Arkansas, this is our largest industrial customers are in South Arkansas. So making sure that the economy is vibrant, the workforce is here, the infrastructure, electrical infrastructure is here to support existing businesses grow as well as try to recruit new businesses here is very important. We're spending over the next couple of years in both of our southwest and southeast regions to the tune of probably about $140 million. And that's 15 different transmission projects. That doesn't count the investment that we're trying to acquire the Union Power, the Integra plant right up the road here. So, which is about it's about $1 billion total cost. Entergy Arkansas shares about $250 million. But so South Arkansas extremely important for the health of our company going forward, and we've had 100 years of economic development. That's in our blood. For Entergy, it makes good sense for us to be in economic development, and we will continue to do so because it not only helps people find jobs, keeps the economy moving, but it's also good for business.
I'll take a little bit different spin on it. We're here tonight talking about leadership. And I don't mean this to be self-serving, but leadership, quite frankly, is this gentleman on my right here. Because El Dorado wouldn't be what it is today, where it is today, without the leadership of Claiborne Deming, Madison Murphy, Bob Nolan, and many others, and their commitment to this community to make this the venue that people want to live, work, and play. And I've got to throw South Arkansas University. They've started the first engineering class there, got 25 students in it, to where we're growing engineers for these industries. And quite frankly, all the companies that Claiborne talked about are instrumental in making those things happen here. So just watch out and stay tuned, because we're not going anywhere. We're going to grow.
Wade.
So, first of all, I'd like to say that I just wish I could just download your guys' brains and upload them into mine, your experience. Minus all the bad stuff, of course. I don't know, but I'm sure there's been a lot of growth along the way. But, so if you were speaking to a room of millennials today, then I heard the word millennial a lot, and, or your 20-year-old self, in the term of leadership, I mean, that says, I want to be where you're at, or beyond, what would you tell them?
It's funny, I talked to a group of about 100 mostly young employees from Entergy last week in Jackson, Mississippi. Similar question, and they asked me, what were some of my keys to success, and what you heard up here today: a lot of hard work, a lot of grit, be able to communicate, work with people, work as a team. But I also told them that it's really your responsibility to let people know where you want to go in the organization. Don't be shy in letting folks know where you'd like to go. Ultimately, what we tell folks at Entergy, it's your responsibility to develop. We will help support your development, but help us understand where you want to go, and we'll try to facilitate that. If
I was talking to people, and it's almost advice I give my 4 kids, If first of all, find something that you want to do, because you'll do it better if you want it. If you have a passion's overused, but yeah, you have to like it, want it, and if you have a passion for it, so much the better. Second, if you're asked to do something, or if they go to a room and say, "Will someone do that?" Raise your hand. Just be that person. Be that person who always says, "I'll do it," and then figure out a way to do it better than that person who asks you expects you. Just come back with a better product. Then, and not literally a product, but if you're asked to do something, do it better than that person expects you'll do it. And if you do that, if you're always there, you're solving a problem, you're a team player, but you're just there to make that company, that organization, whatever that is, better, and you're willing to sacrifice enough time, energy, and talent to make it happen, I promise you, you'll be a leader. I promise you, you will be noticed, because organizations have to survive. There's this survival instinct in them, and they're always looking for great people, and there's always a dearth of them. And so if you're that person going, "I'll do it," and then go do it, they'll give you more. And then if you do it again and do it better, and they'll give you more. And before you know it, you'll be climbing any organizational ladder you want to. And those unexpected things that happen, the so-called black swans, you'll deal with them. You'll learn to deal with them. But if you're that type of person, and it's really almost common sense, that easy, you have to be willing to work. You have to be willing to put in a lot of hours. I mean, 7 o'clock, get there. Be the first one there. Don't leave till 6. And are you willing to do it? And if you're willing to do that, then you'll become a leader. But you have to really want it.
Ray Dillon.
Yeah, I would just add to that showing up counts. That'd be the first thing. If you don't show up, you don't have a chance. And when I'm talking to, quite frankly, young people that are looking for jobs, and some think they don't have the same opportunities that I did or we did. The opportunity is there, and in fact, there are going to be more opportunities because of the people that are exiting the workforce. So the opportunities are there. The key is do you have what it takes, and are you willing to stay in a place long enough to be recognized and, quite frankly, rewarded? So the opportunities are there. People they like for immediate success rather than going through, proving themselves, acquiring knowledge that's going to make them a successful leader. They won't stay around long enough. So that's what I try to tell people to do is get with it, stick with it, do your best, show up, and quite frankly, never turn down a promotion. That's the other key. I can't tell you how many people I've offered promotions to that it's never the right time. There's always some problem. Can't do this, can't do that. And someone else gets the promotion. And promotions, they aren't automatic. They don't come around every day. So when I'm talking to people, I tell them never turn down a promotion. Do what it takes. So.
And on top of both what Ray and Claiborne said, if you're that person that volunteers, that is there all the time, that works hard, you're also going to take some risks, and you're going to make mistakes, and you're going to fail. But frankly, some of my best growth and development opportunities over my career is having those tough spots, those spots where I made a mistake or I failed, and thankfully I had people that didn't run me off. But I think the fact that you're going to be there all the time, you're going to raise your hand, you're going to volunteer, and when you make mistakes and when you do fail, you're going to have a leadership team that also recognizes your value, and they're going to give you another shot, another chance.
So my last two questions for this audience were going to be share some leadership opportunities and challenges you see in South Arkansas, which you just answered in that question, and what advice would you maybe share with this room about leadership, which I think that you just did right there. So do we want to take one more question, Randy? Let's take one more question here, and then it better be a really good one. All right, Vernon?
Adding to what you just said, I'm just curious, what is your biggest failure as a leader, and how did you learn?
What a fantastic note to end on here. Please,
I've got
Ray,
so many opportunities.
We will start with Ray and work our way down. Your greatest failure, Ray, please share it with us. Besides coming here and sitting on this stage with me tonight.
You know, the word that gets overused so much is when you talk about safety. And safety is the hardest thing to embed in an organization where it's practiced every day. And then if you're not safe and you teach and train and still you have individuals that don't follow what they've been taught and don't do, quite frankly, bad things happen, such as they get killed. So I would tell you that having a fatality in one of our plants is a failure on my part, because whatever it was, our system didn't work and we didn't try hard enough. And we've had a fatality at our Ola sawmill. It was unfortunate and it was preventable. Every one of them is. So I would say that the failure on my part is fatality in our facilities, and it gets back to embedding safety practices to where they're followed each and every day and not overlooked is one of my biggest opportunities and has been one of my failures here at Deltic.
I've got a number of opportunities I could talk about, but we don't have enough time.
Just get to pick one.
You know, Ray talked about safety, and there's nothing more important than your employees' health and safety in their life, to make sure that every one of them are able to go home at night and spend the evening with their families. That's the ultimate goal. And we had a fatality back in 2002. And ultimately, you know, Ray's right, the safety culture starts at the top. And a failure on my part, but also it was, you know, how did we react afterwards to ensure, to institute the accountability in the organization, that people weren't taking shortcuts. People got fired after that weren't found to take shortcuts. So finding the right, where that pendulum swings, you know, finding, you know, we overreacted, frankly, and instituted, I don't want to say too much accountability, but we instituted probably had too much of a focus on discipline and not as much focus on, you know, the carrots, the encouragement of behaving safely. So finding that balance, it took too long for us to find that balance. We brought the hammer down and we're tough, and that didn't improve our safety, frankly. It got people scared to do their job. So it took us too long to find that right balance. So Ray's right, it's really, really in industrial type facilities, it's really hard to get everybody to behave safely when no one's watching. And that's what you want to have happen, and have those behaviors in your corporation.
Probably not being bold enough. I mean, once you become a leader, once you're established, you know how to do it. There is a tendency, I think, to kind of put a budget together, put a plan together, execute it, and not think, God, how can I really move this company forward? What can I do that can dramatically increase returns to shareholders, increase our size, our profitability, and transform it? And probably I didn't do that enough. That you kind of get stuck a bit, and you're growing, and and your production's growing up in our case, and your reserves are increasing. But you know, what else can you do? And I think a lack of boldness and you know, not everybody has it. And you can be too bold, and Ray had a good point. You can't screw your company up. I mean, you can't run the risk of destroying it by being too reckless and loving every deal. So it's a real careful calculus to put together to be bold, to grow, to be innovative, but do it in a way that makes sure your company remains intact and doesn't become at risk to fail. But I suspect that piece, and that really, really distinguishes great leaders, the bold ones.
All right. Well, I think I speak on behalf of the whole audience here that we could probably stay here for another couple of hours and talk, although it would be uncomfortable for many of you sitting down, but we would be fascinated by more of your comments. Claiborne, Hugh, Ray, thank you very much. These are the CEOs. Let's give them a standing ovation.